Got your media, you can connect your phone. It's also got Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and it's got voice command, which play spin 1038.
Please repeat.
It never really gets what's going on. Hello and welcome back to the DoneDeal YouTube channel. I'm David OC and today we're reviewing the SEAT Ateca. Now this car starts at about 26,700, which is similarly priced to cars like the Nissan Qashqai, the Peugeot 3008 and the Volkswagen Tiguan. Now first of all, Ateca, where does that come from? Well, it's a small town outside Madrid which doesn't have a huge population and isn't known for much other than the fact that it had a Cadbury's factory until not that long ago, 2013 I believe. Anyway, enough about Ateca and more about the actual Ateca. So let's check out the boot and find out more about the car. This is the more aggressive, more sporty version of the Ateca. So it comes with the F4 badges, which is kind of like the top of the line. It's the one that you probably want to get, although you will pay a little bit extra for that. Anyway, we're here to look at the boot space. When you open it up, it's 510 litres, which is a little bit more than the Nissan Qashqai, which we reviewed very recently, that only had 430 litres. Now, in real world terms, you'll get 2 suitcases in that. In fact, I think you get 4 or 5. It's a very large boot. However, the one thing that I would say is not working in its favour is this low lip. It's quite large. However, you can get a false floor to make it flat, but I believe that costs about 153 euros. Now, under here, you have a spare wheel, which is fantastic. You've got various tethering points around here. There's no 12-volt socket, which is a bit of a shame when you pay this much for a car, which I haven't told you yet, but it's quite a lot. There's one cool feature is lowering the seats down. They pop open like that. It's very cool, and it means if you have a wakeboard or any larger items like skis, or if you've gone to IKEA, you can load everything in. In the back, like a lot of crossovers, the doors open nice and wide for you to get that child seat in, and of course the Isofix points are very easy to get at. Now you have this Alcantara kind of seating, which is, well, it's very nice. When you sit in, again, like a lot of cars in this category, you've loads of knee space and quite a lot of headroom despite having the panoramic roof, which isn't just a panoramic roof, it's actually a sunroof. Now, in terms of storage, you have the pouch in front of you, which is very standard on a lot of cars. You have a cup holder in here. You have got a lovely armrest with 2 very large drink holders. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and say probably too large. But other than that, it's very simple. You do have 2 USB points down here and a phone pouch, which I thought that's what pockets were for. But anyway, it is useful, I suppose. And all in all, it's pretty nice. When opening the car, well, you don't need the key because this car is fitted with an optional extra for 440 euro called KESI. Now, KESI, don't really know what it stands for, but it basically means keyless entry. Now, in the car, well, first of all, you've got this black Alcantara seats, which are very comfortable. They've got lumbar support, which is nice. They're fully maneuverable. Now, they are manual, but you can get them in a nice, comfortable position, as well as the steering wheel, as you can see, is very versatile. Now, storage-wise in here, again, you've loads of nice options. So under your seat here, you've a stowage there. Nice little center armrest there with some space. You've got 2 drink holders here. Massive compartment in the side for drinks. A little bit of storage for your phone. You can get a wireless charging option. This car doesn't have it, but it's one I definitely consider adding as it's a very nice feature. You've 2 USB points, an AUX point, 12-volt socket, big glove box right here. And another thing that really kind of brightens and opens up this whole car is this panoramic sunroof. Now, it's actually a sunroof that actually opens as opposed to just the glass. It's 1,275 euros, but if you're speccing a car out nicely, it's definitely one of the ones I'd add. It's time to check out the Ateca. Get it? The Ateca. Anyway, enough bad jokes aside, the system on this is Volkswagen system and it is more or less flawless. It's very, very good. So it's a touchscreen, 8-inch screen, very responsive. You've got all your different modes from radio, you've got your media, you can connect your phone. It's also got Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and it's got voice command, which play spin 1038.
Please repeat.
It never really gets what's going on. But anyway, then I want to switch over to here because this is fantastic. So you've got your system here, which is the digital dash. Now,
please speak.
This is why those voice commands aren't great. Anyway, over here you can see the digital dash. It's brilliant and it's definitely the way cars are going. So if you're looking to buy one of these cars, it's worth speccing with this because it's probably going to affect the resale value in a more positive way. Of course, if you've got your Apple Maps, let's say your Google Maps connected through the system, the map will pop up in front of you. It's got all your various different bits of information and it's all right here and it's very visually pleasing and 100% worth getting. Now to drive, well, to be completely honest, it's brilliant to drive. It's a crossover SUV, but it feels like a Seat Leon, like 100%. I feel like I'm driving a car. The way it takes a corner, it's glued to the road, and it really gives you a pleasant driving experience. There is, in this automatic version, driving modes. They don't really make a whole lot of difference. A bit of throttle response difference, and the gears will change later if you're in sports mode, but other than that, it's near as makes no difference. In terms of engine, so you've got everything from a 1 litre petrol, which has 115 brake horsepower. That's probably underpowered, but then it goes the whole way up to a 2 litre diesel engine with all-wheel drive, 190 brake horsepower, probably fantastic. But the optimum engine across the whole Volkswagen Group board is this 2 litre engine, 150 brake horsepower, paired with this DSG automatic gearbox. Tremendous. Absolutely fantastic to drive. The gear changes are smooth. It's responsive. If you do want to put the foot down, it will give you the instant power, which is great. It's fast to change gears. And this particular one actually gets about 5.9 litres per 100 kilometers, which means to go 100 kilometers, it's going to cost €7 or €8, which is very affordable. And what's more is the tax is only €280 a year. So all in all, this is definitely the engine to go to. The way the car drives, the way it handles, it's just absolutely spot on. Overall, I actually am a massive fan. So the next section is going to be that little bit more difficult for me to do, and that is 3 of my least favorite and 3 of my favorite things about the SEAT Ateca. So number 1 on my least favorite is inside it's a little bit bland. Yes, there's some red stitching on the steering wheel and on the seats, but this is the FR one, so it's gonna come with stuff like that. But the basic one doesn't have that, and it just looks a bit bland. Number 2 also involves the finish of the inside of the cabin. So this red bar here, I don't know, but I feel like that should have been painted over or had some sort of finish because it just looks a bit raw and maybe a bit cheap. And number 3 comes down to pricing. Now, it's hard for me to break it to you because you're probably sitting at home thinking, wow, that looks so good. And for €26,700, I could get me one of those. Well, unfortunately, this one spec'd, the way this one's spec'd, comes in at just over €41,000. And I'm sorry, but €41,000 for a car that began at €26,000 is just far too much. That spec list, it's too much in my opinion. It was hard for me to criticize this car, so now I'm happy to say here are 3 of my favorite things. So number 1 is the dual exhaust coming out here. They're real, they're 100% functional, and they haven't tried to give it some fake exhaust, and I really appreciate that. So thank you, SEAT. Number 2 is this kind of cool feature that it has, or kind of this little extra. So basically last night I came home, I was a little bit sad, but then when I unlocked the car, this clip from my iPhone will show you how the SEAT Ateca brightened up my evening. And number 3 is the fact that it's a real sunroof. It's not one of those panoramic roofs that doesn't open, which I like it. I know I say this a lot, but the SEAT Ateca really did impress me. I've been driving it for a week now, and day in and day out, it continues to just show me a good time on the road. The only thing that I wish is that it was a little bit cheaper. And I'd love to hear your feedback on this, because the kind of trend at the moment is to have a car on an entry level be quite affordable, but then when they actually spec it to the way you like it, similarly to the Qashqai that we reviewed, it ends up being in like the 40,000 euro bracket, which I know it makes it more affordable when you get finance on it, but it's a bit disappointing. Anyway guys, that is it for today's review. I hope you've enjoyed it, I hope you've learned something from it, and I hope that you subscribe and come back for more videos. But for now, that is all. We'll see you in the next video.